Welcome to episode 539 of the Grit2Greatness Endurance Podcast. We're your hosts, coaches Rich Soares and Lauren Brown, and we are on a mission to help endurance athletes train smarter, race stronger, and build the grit it takes to achieve greatness.
In this episode, we're tackling one of the hardest challenges endurance athletes face, the mental side of injury. When your body puts limits on what you can do, your mind often fills the gap with fear, frustration, doubt, and even a loss of identity. We'll walk through real-world examples from athletes we coach, anonymized as athlete A, B, C, and D, to explore how injuries disrupt training, force goal changes, challenge confidence, and test patience. Most importantly, we'll show you how to stay mentally engaged, emotionally grounded, and purpose-driven while your body heals.
Yeah, this is going to be a great episode, and listen, it's not a matter of if, this is always a matter of when. At any given time, you're going to probably know a triathlete who is dealing with an injury if you're not dealing with one yourself. One of the beauties of being in a triathlete is that you have some other sports to pivot to, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we break this down with you. But before we get into that, we have a couple of announcements, and I'm excited to start out with our athlete shoutouts for Grit2Greatness. Our team members, we've got Caroline Young Henry, who is going to be racing the Colorado Half Marathon in Fort Collins. It's a beautiful downhill marathon through the Poudre River Canyon. And then we've got, and this is not a triathlon thing, but Alice Kosterich, good luck on your dance competition. She's a very competitive dancer. She does ballroom and country and you name it. She's amazing. Good luck this next week down in Colorado Springs with that.
Yeah. I love that we get to celebrate Alice and her dancing, because I know her training has looked a little bit different, but I love hearing about her doing her dance and getting her dancing shoes on. So good luck to both you ladies. For our next announcement, Velocity, we are going to be supporting Colorado's Ride. So we're excited to announce the launch of Velocity for Colorado's Ride, which is a custom training program powered by Grit2Greatness Coaching and built specifically for athletes preparing for Colorado's Ride. Velocity delivers structured, coach-designed training that removes the guesswork and helps you train smarter, stay consistent, and arrive on ride day confident and prepared. Whether this is your first Colorado's Ride or you're training to perform at a higher level, Velocity meets you where you are and guides you forward. You can learn more and get started at the Colorado's Ride Velocity page, and let's make this your strongest ride yet.
I'm really excited about this for a couple of reasons. One, the ride director for Colorado's Ride is one of my very close friends, Bill Plock, who was also the co-host of the 303 Endurance and Mile High Endurance podcast, predecessors to this. And he's just got an amazing ride. It's a week-long ride. Every day is just beautiful, mountain climbing and mountain rides in one of the most beautiful parts of Colorado. And we are going to take each one of those rides. We're going to be taking segments of the actual GPS course and riding the course. So you'll get to experience exactly what you're going to feel. And we're going to really work on skills around power and cadence that'll really make it successful for you. So we're excited about this opportunity. And thanks, Bill. And hope to have you on the podcast next week as a guest to talk about the launch. So say a little bit of a public open letter to Bill on the pod here. All right, so let's dive into our main topic here. Listen, we said at the beginning here, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You're gonna experience injury. This is a sport with a lot of repetitive sagittal plane back and forth motion. Eventually, something's gonna give. We're going to talk through. I'm going to give you a couple of 4 quick case studies of actual real examples of things that you might experience, or you're going to know somebody who experiences these. So here are the 4 examples. We've got athlete A, just got over a meniscus surgery, focused to remove running entirely. And this is one of those things where you struggle to watch your fitness decline despite you're doing everything right, that you had no say in this matter. You got a meniscus tear, and the surgery and the PT, you're doing all this and you're just not sure if you're going to really bounce back. It's going to test your patience. It's going to test your fear of re-injury, right? Because you're going to go out there and try to run on that thing. You don't have the confidence yet. So you're going to have to redefine your progress in terms of healing and not in pace. Athlete B, learning how to come back from something like a traumatic brain injury, whether it's stroke or whatever, or concussion, it could really surprise you at the length of time it might take for your brain to support the healing process. You're going to probably experience, a little bit of an imbalance in your ambition. You're going to feel a little bit of, boy, will I ever get this back? And it's going to probably feel like, this is going to be a long road. Patience is going to give you your most progress. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. And the next is, a lot of people, and I included, have experienced lower back lumbar pain. Mine through a pinched disc, if you will, pinched nerve on a disc. But it could also just be any kind of sciatic pain, some kind of lower back lumbar pain. And in this case, this particular athlete really can't run, really can't even stand for long periods of time. Now, what this particular athlete is able to do, though, is able to swim and bike pretty pain-free. So that would give this athlete quite a bit of, some options at least that don't limit across the board. Very similarly, kind of on another end of the spectrum, maybe you're experiencing shoulder pain that might be preventing you from swimming, could even be preventing you from biking. But in this case, this particular athlete can bike and run, but feels kind of incomplete as a triathlete right now, and in an area where swimming probably isn't his particular strength. Wouldn't be one of his described strengths. So that gives you some anxiety probably going into race season if you're feeling like you're behind the curve a little bit in your swim form or swim fitness, and now you've got a limiter. So those are just some examples. We could probably be here all day listing all the different kinds of things that can happen, from ankle injuries to knee injuries to hip injuries to back injuries to shoulder injuries to,
every part of the body.
Every part of the body is in motion here. So that is going to be our starting off point as I turn over to Coach Lauren to introduce us into our first set of skills.
Yes.
Mental skills.
Before we jumped on, Coach Rich and I were talking about that. It's like, we're hearing so much about people having setbacks, and whether it's that people are just more vocal about it. So I know that this is going to resonate with a lot of our listeners, and hopefully some of these things help you on your journey to healing. And with our first takeaway, as far as the mental skills for injured athletes goes, it is to separate healing from fitness. Right? So you have to think about that as two separate things. So when you're injured, one of the most painful mistakes that athletes make is judging healing by their fitness. Healing doesn't feel productive. It does not. It can feel frustrating. It could feel like you're not doing anything, right? You're not looking at your pace, you're not looking at your watts, or you're definitely not trying to set a PR, but that doesn't mean that nothing is happening. Your body is doing incredibly hard, invisible work. And it's one of those things that you have to we say this in training, right? We say it with perfectly healthy athletes that you have to just trust the process. And when it comes to healing, you have to trust the process, right? Right now, your job isn't to get fit. It's to create the conditions for healing. And that means patience, compliance, and trust. Fitness comes back faster and when healing is done well. And healing comes back slowly. Fitness comes back slowly when you rush the healing process. Hope, keep this in mind, right? Hope lives in this truth. You are not falling behind. You're laying the foundation for the next version of you. And I kind of think about this real quick, just as like, sometimes like I say, I say zone 2 work is like the unsexy work for a lot of people. They don't understand it. They don't want to do it, but you're never going to get as fit as you can possibly be if all you do is go hard, go hard, go hard, and you don't embrace zone 2. And if you don't fully embrace healing, you're going to come back half healed, and then you might end up setting yourself up for an even worse injury, coming back not fully healed. So
yeah, I love this message of you can't build fitness on a weak health foundation, right?
Yep.
And and you can, and if you were to watch yourself, if you were to like watch your HRV, right, if you're coming back from an injury, and if you're pushing yourself, your HRV, might be dropping, and and you're always on this borderline of being overtrained, or actually deepening your injury because you just haven't bounced back yet. So making sure that you've got that adequate time, and really honestly, just like you said, take it really slow until you've got that full foundation of health. All right, I'm going to go to our second mental skill here, which is redefine, and you control, what this means, right? So you can redefine what winning the day means. Injury forces a hard reset on what success looks like. If you're using your old standards of mileage, intensity, and volume, or pace, or power, you'll feel like you're losing every day. So you've got to put that aside. You've got to redefine what the win is. Today's win might just be doing your rehab exercises. It might just be, stopping early. It might be choosing to rest because your HRV is borderline low when everything else, is telling you, I really want to do this. That's really what counts, is making those smart decisions that will help you make the most progress. Athletes who come back strong learn this skill. Success is context dependent. What winning looks like today is going to be different than what it looked like before, right? The goalpost might have moved, but that's not failure. It's just adapting.
That's such like a healthy perspective, and being able to pivot. And again, I always say this is like whether you're dealing with injury or just dealing with any sort of setback with life changes, schedule changes, you have to always be realistic with where you're at and what you define as a win. So I think that's important in a lot of different contexts when it comes to training and life. All right, the next one, this one's very real. Expect emotional swings. All right, so one of the most confusing parts of injury is feeling grateful and devastated at the same time. I'm going to really quickly plug, I think this is from the Mel Robbins book, The Let Them Theory, where she talks about how like two things can simultaneously be true, where you can, in the book, she's referencing more like relationships, like you can love somebody but hate what they're doing, but it's the same thing. Like you can feel ungrateful about something and also be grateful. Like, so it's two things. You have to remember that two things can simultaneously be true. So you might think, I should be happy I can train at all. I actually did a post about this when I was dealing with my knee bothering me and I was on the treadmill, and all I was thinking was like, oh my God, this sucks. Like, how am I even getting fit right now? I'm walking on an incline. And then I started to shift my thinking, and I was like, I'm thankful I can walk. I'm thankful I have a treadmill. I'm thankful that I'm able to recover. And I was like, oh my gosh, you have to shift that thinking, because you can still train, but then you have to remember that it's also okay to feel angry, sad, or scared. That doesn't mean you're ungrateful. It means you are human. We are all humans having a human experience. So injury creates that emotional whiplash, good days followed by hard ones, hope followed by doubt. You have to expect that. You have to normalize it. And you really have to do your best to not judge yourself for it. The goal isn't emotional stability. I don't know. That might be impossible, right? It's emotional honesty. I love that. I love that emotional honesty, that when you allow the feelings, they can pass faster and they carry less power. I love that one.
Totally. And courage is facing those emotions, right? Not avoiding those emotions. And I love what you said about being grateful, because honestly, that is probably the thing that gives you the greatest context, that, gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, there's some people who don't ever have the opportunity to do this. So you having to scale it back,
Mm-hmm.
it might still be a moonshot for somebody who can't do this at all. You know. Sure. To that end, listen. Old metrics can be, can be a weapon. You might emotional weapon. It might hurt to look at your pace, your power, and your FTP, and your volume. Those are all useful when you were on the path. Now you've got an injury. You've got new numbers that you need to be paying attention, and they are not those. So you know this is where you're going to track things like, okay, how about consistency? How about I just did this one thing every day? It wasn't everything that I wanted to do, but I did it every day. I was consistent about it. It might be just, your PT exercises. Maybe you can't run, but you can do the PT. So you could measure, out of the 7 days, what percent of them did I do that? Compliance. How compliant was I with the prescribed PT? Did I do every set? Did I do it the way that my PT told me to do? Did I do the PT at all?
Mm-hmm.
How many days in a row can you demonstrate patience, or how can you measure or celebrate your patience as you go through this process? What rewards can you give yourself for being patient? you know, maybe you buy yourself that one, that pair of shoes that you can't wait to get into, when you get back to full recovery, and maybe that's an incentive for you. How do you measure the quality of your recovery? This is a great one. Measuring your HRV on a consistent basis
Mm-hmm.
and having a goal around that. Change the metrics. The old metrics might not be appropriate given where you're at. And then know what the finish line looks like when you're ready to reframe and update the metrics again when you're back to being healthy.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it makes me think of when you do a reassessment of your FTP or your 5K time trial, and you can have those numbers drop at any given week where things are off, and it's just a number. And I say this all the time, the time is going to pass anyway. So it's like, like you said, stay consistent, track the things that matter at that point in your life. Really important. And then moving on to number 5 is to protect your identity. Identity is huge. And I definitely, I did not have any major injury, right? I was just dealing with some things going on with my knees. But because I couldn't run, I was depressed. I mean, I was crying. I felt like I was so upset. And one of my friends was like, I think you're just feeling like you've lost a part of your identity. And I was like, maybe that is right, because now I feel like it's just a big part of my life just felt like it was taken from me. So many athletes don't just do their sport, right? You feel like you are your sport. And injury can feel like it strips away part of who you are. And that is a really bad feeling. So I just want to say that it's like, feeling that way, recognize it, that is not, it's not fun. It doesn't feel good. But you have to also then have the perspective that your identity isn't your weekly volume or your race calendar. It's your values, your discipline, your resilience, curiosity, commitment. All of these things come into play with who you are as a person. And yes, we are all athletes, but we're people with a lot more going on. So you're still an athlete when you're injured, because athletes adapt, right? Protecting your identity means staying connected to the process, even when the process looks different. And like we said, your process right now might be measuring your HRV, be doing your PT exercises, showing up and giving yourself grace. So this chapter, it doesn't erase who you are. It reveals the depth of it.
Yeah, I love that. And it really is only natural that you will start to really identify, and create an identity around what you do most often, right? It's just
Mm-hmm.
natural. But like you just said, Coach Lauren, it's you really have to, you know, change that, reframe it as, now how do you handle, your identity now is what are the best decisions you can make for yourself, right? And sometimes that might mean, you've got to shorten your goal horizon. I know a lot of athletes who, when this happens, they now see the plan that they made earlier in the year or late last year now slipping away. They had that goal of being ready for this championship or this Ironman or whatever. And the recovery time is just not going to line up with, the training time required for that race.
Mm-hmm.
Long-term goals can feel crushed during an injury. Thinking about the whole season or next year often creates anxiety and will overwhelm you. So shrink the time frame. Instead of, thinking, will I ever get back? Ask, what does this week require? Instead of, when can I race? What helps me heal today? Shorten the time frame. Make the goals in shorter horizons that seem more realistic, that will be building blocks to the future. It might be that kind of, really the healing is the lead domino in getting back to full recovery. So athletes who recover best don't look that far ahead. They stack small, controllable wins.
Yes. And you need to control the controllables. That's like what's in your sphere of influence and what's in your sphere of control. Think about what is in your control. And it is absolutely true that injury makes you feel like you've lost a lot of control, but you haven't lost all of your control. You can still control your sleep. Hey, listen, if you're not able to train as much, you better be controlling your sleep, because if you don't know, there's a book that Coach Rich has that takes a couple hundred pages to tell you that the best way to recover and your best tool is your sleep. So you can control your sleep. You can control your nutrition. You can control consistently showing up for your rehab. You can control your mindset. Like, that is the most powerful thing, right? How you speak to yourself, whether you compare or you stay present. So when athletes feel helpless, it's usually because they're focusing on what they can't do. And I'm going to say, training always parallels life. This is going to be for any other type of situation, right? You should not be focusing on what you can't do. You need to shift your energy to what you can do exceptionally well right now. And that is, and I knew it. I knew the book was coming out. There it is. Share it. Let's see.
I didn't mean to distract you because you were going to close this like a champ, but
I
I just
know.
figured, as long as we're talking about
It's
healing
relevant.
and we're talking about the mental game of injury, this is actually a pretty good resource. This is Good to Go by Christy Eschwanden. And it's what the athlete in all of us can learn from the strange science of recovery. And it really does, unpack, about a gazillion different, types of recovery methods, which might be a nice layer too, and maybe just a nice book to read as you are recovering.
Yes.
So,
And take control of your sleep. And I'll close that out with just pointing out that hope grows when you realize that you still have agency even in limitation.
yeah. Tip number 8, or mental tip number 8, don't rush testing. Testing during injury recovery often answers the wrong question. It doesn't ask, am I healing? It asks, am I as fit as I used to be? And that's not fair, right? A failed test can damage confidence far more than it helps in your training and planning. There's strength in waiting. There's wisdom in rebuilding quietly. Trust this. You don't need proof right now. You just need progress. And progress doesn't always show up in a test.
Amen to that. Tip number 9, stay connected to the process. So one of the biggest dangers during injury is disengagement. So mentally checking out because training doesn't feel real. And you absolutely need to still show up. And even if, like we said before, if that means showing up and doing mobility work or doing your PT, like, you want to stay in the habit of what you've been doing, right? So don't break the habit where all of a sudden you're going to have to reestablish that when you are feeling healed, modified training still matters, right? It preserves the routine. It reinforces your identity. And I have to re-emphasize that whole concept of the identity that we feel as athletes, because if you want to stay connected to that, you need to stay consistent with some sort of routine that makes you feel like you are taking control of your health and whatever that version of training looks like for you right now. So definitely remember it showing up, even in a reduced way. It builds confidence that you haven't lost yourself. Hope lives in consistency, not intensity.
Yeah, I love that. And have some confidence and trust that the fitness that you had going into this injury is pretty durable. Athletes often fear that fitness disappears overnight. It does not. The truth is, fitness is actually more durable than you think, especially aerobic fitness. Yeah, some of the sharpness fades, some of the, peak fitness, but the endurance aspect that really takes, you have a lifetime of endurance, that you've built up. You're not going to lose all of that very fast. But the deep work you've done, like, you're going to be good. When your body is ready, fitness will return a lot faster than it will if your body isn't ready. So especially if you protected your mind during the recovery, you're going to have a much better bounce back, much faster bounce back. This isn't the end of your story. It's just a pause, and pauses don't erase progress.
Exactly. And like you mentioned earlier, we're triathletes. If one goes, we still got two more ways to train, and that fitness will carry over. So key takeaway, you guys, injuries don't just test your body. They test your identity, patience, and trust. So the athletes who come back strongest aren't the ones who rush the process, but the ones who learn how to train their mind while their body heals.
Love that. Hey, that was awesome. Folks, I hope that, if you're experiencing injury or someone that is, I hope that this resonated, and thanks for going through that with us. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the fun segment. Now, before we get into tonight's fun segment, I'm going to give a quick shout out to some contributions to our glazed and confused discussion from last week. If you were paying attention, we had a great interview that was under the theme Take the Donut, which is all about grabbing opportunity. But we had a fun segment and tried to pin down what each individual person's sort of donut type is. And Coach Lauren is a plain glazed. I always opt for the good old plain glazed donut, but pink with sprinkles is my favorite looking donut. Obviously, laugh out loud. Awesome. So is that the pink frosting on the top?
Pink frosting and sprinkles. I love how that one looks, but if I was just going to get a donut, I like a plain glazed donut. I'm boring like that.
Hey, that's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes, the plain is actually, I like the plain, that's like the old Krispy Kreme, right? That,
yeah.
Who doesn't like that?
Good old faithful.
Well, yep. Good old faithful. I like that. Coach KO weighed in with a Boston cream. She says, I have to say that a good Boston cream is the way to go. Donut creamy filled with complexity and delicious chocolate on top. Oh. So she's a creamy with chocolate on top kind of gal. Mm-hmm. And then we've got Anne-Marie Belay, is it? I don't know how to.
Belay?
Anne-Marie, I am so sorry I'm mispronouncing your name, but this does seem appropriate given that it does look like a sort of a French last name. Glazed old-fashioned versus original glazed, dense cake and sugar, definitely worth the empty calories. Thank you, Anne-Marie. That's awesome.
So much fun. All right. And I'm excited for the fun segment because even though I'm going to be kicking it off, I have not looked ahead, so I don't know what's coming. The fun segment prepared by Coach April, buy, sell, or hold is the theme. So today we are opening up the trading floor because Here is what we have realized after years in this sport. The endurance world is a market. It has trends, it has bubbles, it has products that promise the moon and deliver shin splints. And every single one of us is a portfolio manager, whether we admit it or not. So today's segment is simple. I'm going to call out a piece of gear, a fueling strategy, or a training trend, and we are going to rate it. Buy, sell, or hold. No mid-range, no it depends. Pick a side. All right. You ready for it?
I love it. Let's go. Round one.
All right. So, 4 hot takes about the endurance market itself before we get into specific assets. So, buckle up. Hot take 1, the endurance gear market is the only market in the world where expensive and it makes you slower is a viable product strategy. The $80 hydration vest that doesn't fit, the carbon water bottle, we have collectively funded all of it. Hot take 2, if a product has the word elite, pro, or race day in the name, you will buy it at least once in your life. This is just, oh wait, are we supposed to be answering these or no?
I'm not quite sure.
We are supposed to. Hot take 1, buy, sell, or hold. The endurance gear market is the only market in the world where expensive and it makes you faster is a viable product category. The $80
Gotcha.
vest that doesn't fit, the carbon water bottle, we have collectively funded all of it.
Got it. This is a sell.
That is
for me.
Yes. Same for me.
Yep. Okay, good. All right. I'm following it now. Here we got this.
Yeah, I think I'm following it too. Okay. Hot take 2. If a product has the word elite, pro, or race day in the name, you will buy it at least once in your life. That is just statistics. The marketing team knew. They knew.
It's a buy. 100%.
Yeah. If a product has the word elite, pro, or race day in the name, you will buy it at least once in your life. I'm going to say hold.
Okay. See, I've got to say buy because I have both the Saucony Endorphin Pros and the Saucony Endorphin Elites just in case. So
okay. All right. There you go. So you have to be true to who you are, Rich. All right. Hot take 3. The number of recovery products you own is inversely proportional to the amount of recovery you actually do. The athlete with 3 foam rollers, 2 massage guns, and a Theragun is also the one sleeping 6 hours a night. We see you. I am you. Oh. Oh, man. Where do you fall, Rich?
I'm probably on the hold because I have my share of foam rollers and, but I didn't go, I don't go and spend a ton of money on it because, there's sleep.
I'm going to say, I'm probably buy just because I do have a lot of things and I'm reactive. So I should be more proactive. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have been in the situation I was in this year because it was a lot of needing to dial back into my recovery routine. Boo law.
All right. I like the opening bell. Now we're on a roll. You want me to take round 2?
You take round 2, yeah.
All right. And I think I got the easy one here because now we're on the training floor. We've got 6 assets, buy, sell, or hold. We're going to go really quick. Here we go. Number 1, carbon plate super shoes.
Buy.
Number 2, cold plunges.
I can't say buy or hold. I'm going to say hold because I should do them more.
I'm going to go buy. I love them. I was just talking to Alice about, they actually bought a cold plunge machine for their house. I can't wait to go see her house one of these days.
Oh, thanks.
Number 3, run streaks. Buy, sell, or hold.
Sell.
Zone 2 training.
Buy.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go slow to go fast. Airport compression socks.
Out of all the times I've flown, I have never used or bought them, so I'll say sell.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to go hold. I'm not consistent with them, but they, I have found that they help, especially for long trips.
The longest flight I've ever had has been like 6 to 7 hours. So that's probably also part of it.
Still, that's not a nothing burger.
Yeah.
All right. Buy, sell, or hold the mid-race gas station Coke.
I'm gonna say hold. I'm not opposed to it, but I've never done it.
I'm gonna sell that baby. No, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it. You know, they got this stupid thing here in Colorado, in Denver, called the Taco Bell 50K.
They
And
were
you've got to
talking
like go.
about that the other day. I heard it. I don't know if it was on the radio or on a podcast. I was like, we know about this.
It's freaking crazy. Yeah. No, I don't think I could do this. Now, I will on a long bike ride. Like if I'm out on a long ride, I
Yeah.
will hit the gas station for a gas station burrito.
Ooh.
You
Wow.
know, little bean and cheese burrito,
Risky.
you know, with microwave and yeah, amazing.
That was fun. All right. All right, G2G fam. The trading floor is yours. We want to know your highest conviction buy, your loudest sell, and the trend you are quietly holding through the volatility. Drop your portfolio in our Instagram comments, tag at G2G Endurance, and the boldest take gets read on next week's show. Remember, the market can stay irrational longer than your hamstrings can stay healthy. Train hard, eat well, and for the love of all that is holy, do not buy another hydration vest. You have enough hydration vests.
How many hydration vests do you have?
0. I have run bottles.
I seriously have like 4 at least.
Yeah.
And at least 3 or 4 run bottles too.
Oh.
Why? Like how many can I possibly have? Like,
Well, I always
yeah,
joke around,
anyway.
like, if I see good market, I always joke around, I'm like a marketer's like favorite person because I'm like, ooh, I like the design on that. That label looks cool. That name is pretty cool. And I'm like, no, Lauren, no.
Man. Hey, I'll tell you one thing that I would buy, and that is Vespa. I would buy some Vespa
Mm-hmm.
because honestly, this stuff. Vespa Power Endurance helps you tap into steady, clean energy so that you can stay strong, focused, and in the zone, whether you're racing or training longer. It's not fuel, it's a metabolic catalyst. It's in this pouch. It's a very kind of like, watery substance. It's not a bit, it's a, good mouthful. And it, by just taking that about 25 minutes before your race or very hard effort, it really shifts your body into a bigger fat burning mode, and you can really feel the difference. It also helps your recovery. Less sugar, higher performance, faster recovery. The home of Vespa products is a link right here in the show notes. It's going to give you 15% off of any order, and the code is G2G Vespa 15. Again, that will all be in the show notes. Thanks for spending time with us today to unpack the mental side of recovery on the Grit2Greatness Endurance Podcast. If you enjoyed this and learned something or had a little fun, please follow us and leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. It helps us reach more athletes like you. Hey, stay gritty, train smart, and keep chasing greatness. We will catch you next week.